Hello, and welcome back to the letter. When we last left off, the Wrights finally bought the haunted house. Isabella treated Zach and Rebecca to lunch, and I accidentally clicked a couple of times, so I'll just keep reading from the backlog. The sky is cloudless, and the noontime sun is beating down on the hard concrete when we leave the cafe. It's far from unbearable, but it's enough to put most people in a fickle mood or make them vulnerable to catching something. No wonder we have staff members going AWOL lately, not to mention my boss's mercurial moods. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I want our usual cloudy weather back. For all the gripes about the unpredictable weather, though, the streets of Luxbourne remain constantly busy. The hurried tapping of shoes against the pavement and inane chatter coming from the lunchtime crowd fill the humid afternoon air. A small reminder of the things we still have to do, regardless of how much I want to return to the comfort of my bed. Back to Briar Realty for me, Zach to a meeting with a magazine publisher featuring luxury houses, and Becca to her lesson plans and books at home. Excuse me. But more than once, I catch her sneaking a longing glance over something displayed on a shop window. Did she want to buy something? Maybe I can get it for her this Christmas. I turn my head to the last shop she checked out. A fleeting glimpse. The world stills. She looks at me, eyes hollow, gaze piercing, and boring into my very soul like a set of chains to keep my whole body still. There are no shadows or whispers this time, only a plea. A hum, low and indistinct, compelling me, beckoning me, intent on dragging me to the void beyond the glass. Help me. I don't dare move. My heart hammers against my ribs, each beat, every thump screaming at me to look away and make a run for it. But I can't. I couldn't. All of my limbs feel heavy while my own breathing strains in the face of her calls.
Leave me alone.
Her mouth is stretched in a grin, wide and unpleasant. The panic building up in my chest forces me to take a tentative step back. I try not to stare at the decaying flesh, the blood streaming from the gaping wounds on her arm or her nailless fingers. I don't want this. Not like this. Not after I got what I want for Papa.
No, stop. Leave me alone.
Her face contorts and she lets out a wail, sharp and utterly unforgiving. Rage. There is only hatred and bitterness, as if the very notion of turning away from her is an offense in itself.
Please! I don't want this!
Before I know it, I'm stumbling backwards, my own throat hoarse from the screams I didn't even notice already coming out of my mouth. The back of my feet catches on a loose stone, sending me sprawling on the ground. The resulting pain completely jolts me out of the haze blurring my mind. For a little while, my surroundings appear unfamiliar, until Becca's face swims into my vision. A look of concern is on her face, and her hands are gripping my arms tight. Even Zach appears beside himself with worry while he stands behind her, acting as a shield against the small crowd of onlookers already forming around us.
What happened?
Bella, you okay?
My mouth opens and closes, but nothing comes out. The words refuse to form. On impulse, I sneak a swift glance at the display window. She's gone. Yet the foreboding feeling hasn't left me. My hands are shaking as I push myself off the ground, my weakened limbs relying solely on reflex and muscle memory. Something icy has made its home at the pit of my stomach. I want to throw up, anything to get the wretched sensation out.
You are screaming! Zach, call someone! No, don't! I'm good. I need to get to the office. Rose, the floor plans. Someone's going to pick it up. I'll see you later.
Careful! Don't stand up yet. Stay put, Isabella. Zach, you watch over her for me. I'll call for someone.
I attempt to put a smile to put her at ease, but it likely comes off as a grimace. Gently, I push her hands off my shoulders. My knees are still trembling, but I can stand. Leave. Leave me. Stay away. Away. The humidity is stifling, everyone's stares are unnerving, and Becca and Zach's concerns are suffocating. I don't want to be here. No more. I break into a run. I wish I hadn't left my bed this morning. Here, with only the occasional drips of water on the sink and the whirring of the fan blades to keep me company, it's easy to fall into a cycle of negative thinking. But even with the clutter to keep me company, the room still feels a whole lot bigger than usual. I hug my knees closer as a group passes by outside. Loud. So loud. If only there was a way to tune everything out, to keep my head from replaying every image, every sound of her. Her screams, her awkward gait as she reaches for me, her bone-chilling smile, her pleas for... Enough. That's enough. A shiver passes over me, though it's not from the hair that's still hanging damp against my back, nor the draft that enters the room from the windows I've left wide open. My gaze shifts over the letter sitting on the coffee table. Its edges flutter innocuously as the wind touches it. Funny how an ordinary-looking piece of paper can bring this much trouble. The impulse to throw it away or rip it to pieces is still there. I can easily do it, but after that, what? Will she leave me? What about those people who have already seen it? Will they be okay? This uncertainty gnaws at me. Knowing that she's real and might also go after the people I care about, I just wish someone would listen. Believe me. The abrupt break in the silence nearly makes me jump out of my skin. Blindly, I fish out my phone from under the mess of papers and cushions where I've carelessly thrown it before taking a shower hours ago. Ash's name flashes brightly on the screen. Is he calling because of this afternoon?
Thank you so much for spamming my inbox, scaredy cat.
Hey, Ash.
What's wrong?
I just had a long day. The couple who bought the house wanted us to finish processing the papers within the week. It's a little hectic, but we'll manage.
Really? You sold it?
Don't sound so surprised. I told you, you don't stand a chance. The rights won't take no for an answer. You've been on the losing end from the very start. Ha!
Whoever said I was interested in the house in the first place?
But you said...
Despite his light tone, his snicker only comes off as annoying to my ears. I have to fight the urge to end the call right then and there. Stupid Ash.
You're such an ass. And just so you know, I'm not treating you to a separate celebration. Or ever.
No, that's just unfair. And here I was looking something up for you. Didn't you say you wanted to talk to Andrew?
I pause. I did say that, but I didn't think he'd actually go through the trouble considering how much he scoffed at the whole topic in the first place.
Is he okay with that?
Totally. Besides, I need to ask him about something. I might as well do it soon. What do you say you come with me tomorrow morning?
Well, there's no harm in it, I suppose. I've got a free day anyway.
Great, I'll just pick you up. Don't oversleep.
Don't compare me to you. I'm not the one who sleeps like a rock.
Another round of chuckles come from him. Oh, I will live for the day he'll stop making fun of me. Just wait, you ashhole. As I'm about to end the call, he clears his throat.
And, Isabella?
His sudden, diffident tone sends my eyebrows shooting up into my hairline. Is the world ending today?
Yeah? Did you forget something?
Do you think Never mind. Good night.
He hangs up instantly. Rude. Completely rude. I didn't even get to thank him. The busy tone, though muffled, echoes through the receiver. No one is saying this will work. Even I'm doubtful it will. But right now, I'll take anything. Anything to get out of this nightmare. Sleep comes easier tonight. And for the first time in a long time, I dream. Of clear skies, of unrestrained laughter from children playing in the streets, and of small, cramped dwellings. To an outsider, the sight does not paint a pretty picture. However, this is home to me. October 23rd, Sunday. Morning dawns bright and clear the following day. Although the air still feels muggy and I miss the chilly autumn weather, it's one of those rare weekends when I'm up even before my alarm rings. If it wasn't for Ash's call last night, I'd probably sleep in. When 9 a.m. rolls around, I'm already heading downstairs where Ash is waiting for me in his car. His hair's a disheveled mess, eyes drowsy, and overall looking like he hurried to get out of bed. Or fell out of it. Or both. He looks adorably rumpled this way. But I'm not going to tell him that. It'd only bloat his unbearable ego.
Good morning, Ash!
He makes a motion with his finger around his ear. Tone it down.
Can you even drive?
He answers me with a slight raise of his hand, a yawn, and nothing more. He has never been particularly fond of mornings, and for that I'm thankful to every god in the universe. Less mental capacity for him to make fun of me. Ha! There's the reason why mornings are my favorite. It doesn't take long for us to reach our destination. The small cafe is situated in Luxbourne's busiest street, the same one I'd often visit with Becca for its cheap food. Those are the only cafe in Luxbourne, apparently. I've never gone here on a Sunday, and it's striking how different it appears without the usual weekday and Saturday rush. The atmosphere especially reminds me of something we also have back home near the university I used to attend. I wonder what happened to it. It was being renovated before I left, so I never got to visit it one last time. The place has always had a calming effect on me. But today, despite standing in a place similar to it, anxiety easily washes over me as soon as I step out of the car. I'm quite used to dealing with people I've never met before thanks to my work, but still, I don't know him. In spite of the fact both Ash and Becca have vouched for him, what will he think of me and my story? What if he thinks I'm crazy? Hell, even my own friends thought so. I draw in a breath to quell the panic beginning to rise in me. Oh well, only one way to find out. A few hesitant steps forward, and then Ash is suddenly pulling me back by my elbow.
Hold on, scaredy cat, not too fast.
Without warning, he flicks my forehead. Hard.
That hurts! What was that for?
He's already walking away when I look up, and I hurry to catch up to him, puzzled. I really don't understand this guy. At least explain why you're flicking other people's foreheads all of a sudden. So rude.
Get yourself together, will you? He's not going to bite. He's very accommodating, too.
I wasn't scared of him or anything.
You don't look like it. Didn't sound like you were okay last night either.
Huh?
What was that last one? Hey! Don't just ignore me!
All questions and retorts die on my mouth once he opens the door to the shop. A cast iron bell attached to it chimes softly, announcing our arrival. The smell of freshly brewed coffee welcomes us as soon as we step in. Like the usual, several tables and chairs have been set up for the patrons, but most of the customers have forgone them in favor of the more comfortable throw pillows and bean bags the staff has laid out on the floor. Becca would love to know they have something like this on Sundays. She's been complaining how uncomfortable the library chairs are for a long time now. Ash leads me to a secluded spot near the window where an old man, probably in his 50s or 60s, is seated, enjoying a brew and a book.
Professor Clark.
It's just Andrew now. I'm no longer your professor, Detective Inspector Frey.
The guy, Andrew, looks up from his book and gives him a smile. A sheepish look crosses Ash's face at the older man's admonishment. More unusual, in my opinion, is seeing him appear like a parent has just scolded him. But it suggests a familiarity between them, one that goes beyond what someone expects from a simple student and mentor. With another warm smile, he gestures for us to take the empty seats opposite him.
Have you been waiting long?
Quite some time, but I come here early on weekends. Best time to get their first serving of bear claws. They're the only place that serves it here. I took the liberty of ordering for you two. I hope you don't mind. I thought it'd be best to talk over a decent helping of coffee.
Soon enough, a waiter brings us 2 more cups and sets down a basket of pastries.
Aren't you going to introduce the lady?
Ah, right, sorry. Isabella, this is Prof. Andrew. He's one of my professors back at the university. Andrew, this is Isabella Santos.
Santos. Portuguese? Spanish? Brazilian? Mexican?
Filipina, actually. It's a pleasure to meet you, Professor.
Ah, your name carries a lot of history, Miss Santos. Just Andrew is fine. Don't do what Ashton's doing. He doesn't listen to this old man.
He doesn't listen to anyone, more like. The awkward tension typically present in first meetings dissipates after that. I was expecting someone strict and, to an extent, someone severe. But Professor Andrew Clark is definitely the opposite of what I have in mind, the more personable kind, similar to a grandfather who dotes on you at family gatherings. It's obvious why Ash has taken a liking to him.
Ashton tells me there's something you wish to discuss that I could help with. Let's hear it then.
I give Ash a hesitant glance, but he just nods and gestures towards Andrew with his head. He's leaving this to me. It's my story to tell, after all. I keep it short and concise. I found a letter in this old mansion, and now I'm cursed. Exactly as I've told Ash and Zach when they asked about it. I don't mention the name of the place. No use saying it now that someone else legally owns it. No use dragging other people into my problems.
I'm sure it's that letter I found, but I don't know anymore. I just want to know how to escape this nightmare.
Of course. We're talking about the one in Anslem Village, aren't we?
How did you...
Don't look so surprised. There's only one place popular enough here if we're going to talk about hauntings. I once had a colleague who wrote about it and the urban legends surrounding the place. Years worth of study, but fascinating. It's a shame he passed away at such a young age. He would have done a much better job at explaining topics like this one compared to
What
me.
happened to him?
Ashton here might disagree, but it's an interesting topic in sociology, if you care to have an open mind.
Studying the science and theory behind it is completely different from outright believing in it.
You don't believe in those stories, sir?
Now, this isn't a question of belief. All I'm saying is things like these speak a lot about a place's culture and history, and it's not just limited to ghosts. Monsters, gods, you name it. Even you, Miss Santos.
What about me?
How you respond to these stories. It tells a lot about you and your upbringing. In the same way it tells me why our detective inspector here finds such topics absurd. Interesting, isn't it?
My head is starting to spin from all of this. I'm not the smartest person around, but I understand what he's trying to get at, I think. It's still too much to take in at once. I look to Ash for help, but his eyebrows are drawn in a frown. If he keeps staring like that at his cup, I'm pretty sure it'll crack soon.
There's still something you're not telling.
Didn't I tell you everything the other day?
Yeah, but you mentioned the rights. Then you proceeded to drop the topic right after. What's with that?
They don't have anything to do with this.
Rights. Luke and Hannah, right?
Yeah, they're the ones who got the place.
Ah, I'm not surprised. They're the kind who gets what they want when they set their eyes on it, from what I've heard. Word gets around.
A heavy sigh escapes my lips. Popular or not, they're just my clients, albeit a little pushy, but just clients, end of story. I wish you'd stop pestering me about them. What is it again that Becca does when dealing with a particularly difficult child? The pesky, annoying kind? I wish I could remember. I could certainly use the same trick right about now.
Ashton, look here. I know you're trying to help, but the deal's almost already closed. The papers are being prepared. Once it's done, it's over. I'm just their agent.
And when is that happening?
When what? Is there even a purpose to this line of questioning?
Your working relationship with them. When's it going to end?
About a week from now? It depends on how long the papers will take, but they want us to rush it.
Really? You're absolutely sure about that?
Yes, really. Unless they want to buy a house again and want me and Rose to be their agent. If yes, then I don't see a problem with it. Now stop annoying me about it.
Don't accept it.
What? Why? It's my job.
Oh lord, even my younger siblings aren't this difficult to deal with. Then again, Ash is far from a younger sibling to me. If he'd only spell it out, surely I'd understand. We wouldn't even have to talk about it right now. That's how it is, right? Find an even ground, talk about like the adults we are. It wasn't like this before, but somewhere along the way, something has changed in us, as people, as friends. I wish there was a way I could tell when or why. Instead, I'm left searching blindly for reasons. The next thing we know, we'll be drifting further and further apart. How frustrating.
Now, kids, settle down. We're not going to solve anything by shouting.
Sorry, Sir Andrew.
And we're not going to solve anything either if you keep omitting things.
Speak for yourself. I'm not the only one doing it.
You'll have to forgive my former student, Miss Santos. He's always been the curious kind. Many people think he's lazy, but it's actually the opposite. I see that hasn't changed.
Oh, really? How is he back when he was your student? I'm sorry, I need to ask. He doesn't talk much about that.
And there's a reason why. Please don't.
Tried to sleep on the first day of class.
Wow.
He didn't repeat it after what I made him do when I caught him. Students like him are the easiest to deal with, once you know what piques their interest. I'd have to say, he's one of the very few who's actually interested in the subject, though. But there was this one time when...
By the end of the conversation, Ash looks like he's praying for the ground to swallow him. He's never been one to talk about himself. What I know about him are mostly bits and pieces I've gleaned over the years. He's an atrocious singer, he's bad at art, and he has a personal vendetta against mornings. Now it feels like he isn't that hard to figure out after all. It's past noon when Andrew has to leave us for another meeting. But before we separate...
Miss Santos, a word of advice. Just keep in mind that when it comes to cases such as this, They aren't always what they seem.
Naturally, the mention in the letter was brought up several times during our talk. And though Ash is right in that Andrew offers a different perspective, he has left me with more questions than answers instead. What is she? What does she want from me? Is she ever going to leave? And that'll be it for this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.